At 8:17 on Mother's Day morning, I was standing in my kitchen with my phone in one hand, about to call my mother, when an email notification slid across the screen. Payment due, cost of RASING a failure. I stared at it for several seconds before opening the attachment. It was a spreadsheet. Not a joke, not a sarcastic note. A spreadsheet totaling *** 412, 000 ***. Groceries, school uniforms, dentist visits, birthday parties, electricity, transportation, a portion of the mortgage from when I was a child. My mother had put a price beside nearly every year of my life. At the bottom, in bold, she had written, total OWED, $412,000. And underneath that, since you never became the daughter I sacrificed for, consider this an accounting of what you cost me. Before I could even react, my phone started vibrating nonstop. Then I saw why. Mom had sent the same bill to our entire extended family group. All *52, relatives ***. Her message above it read, since Tatiana has never understood everything I sacrificed for her, maybe the family should finally see the truth. My uncle replied first. Tatiana, did you borrow this money? Then my cousin messaged me privately. Is this actually true? I was still staring at the screen when Mom called. Happy Mother's Day, she said almost cheerfully. I swallowed. Why did you send this to everyone? Because I'm done protecting you. Protecting me from what? From people knowing what you really are. 32 years old, and after everything I poured into you, what do I have to show for it? I looked back at the spreadsheet. My mother had always been good at turning sacrifice into leverage. If I disagreed with her, I was ungrateful. If I defended myself, I was disrespectful. If I succeeded at something she didn't value, it somehow didn't count. But this was different. This was public. Where did you get these numbers? I asked. From everything I paid for you. My eyes stopped moving. One line sat halfway down the spreadsheet. College tuition, $68,400. I read it twice, then a third time. Because my mother had never paid that tuition. Not $1 of it. Tatiana, she snapped, are you listening? I didn't answer. I walked into my home office, opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet, and pulled out an old folder Grandma Evelyn had given me 3 years earlier when she asked me to help organize some family financial records. Inside was a photograph. Nothing dramatic at first glance. Mom sitting beside Grandma at her kitchen table, signing papers. But beside Mom's hand was Grandma's blue household ledger. And several handwritten entries were perfectly visible. I opened the family group chat. 52 relatives were still arguing over the bill. I didn't explain anything. I didn't defend myself. I sent that asterisk, one photograph asterisk. Then I watched the typing bubbles disappear, one by one, until the entire group went silent. Why did one ordinary photograph suddenly make 52 relatives stop talking? My mother called less than 3 minutes after I sent the photograph. Delete it. There was no cheerful Mother's Day voice anymore. What? You heard me, Tatiana. Delete that picture from the family group. Now. I looked at the screen. Nobody had responded publicly yet, but several relatives were clearly online. You wanted the family to see the accounting, I said, so let them see it. You are deliberately humiliating me on Mother's Day. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. You sent 52 relatives a bill titled, Cost of Raising a Failure. That was private family business. You made it public. She went quiet for a second, then switched tactics, the way she always did when I stopped apologizing. You have no idea what I gave up because of you, she said. Do you remember what you were like at 16? Difficult, argumentative, everything had to be about Tatiana. I closed my eyes. This was familiar territory. Every sacrifice became leverage. Every disagreement became evidence that I was ungrateful. Even when I became a forensic accountant and supported myself, Mom found ways to make my achievements sound small. Usually, this was the point where I said, "Fine, Mom, I'm sorry." Not this time. "Tell them what the photograph means," I said. Her breathing changed. That was when I knew the picture had frightened her more than I expected. I opened it again. Mom was sitting beside Grandma Evelyn at her kitchen table 3 years earlier, signing documents. Beside them was Grandma's unmistakable blue household ledger. The photograph was clear enough to read several handwritten entries. Tatiana tuition, school expenses, medical, and the one that mattered most, Diane reimbursement. My phone buzzed. My cousin had messaged me privately. "Is that Grandma's ledger?" Another message arrived from my aunt. "Tatiana, I'm asking Evelyn about this." Mom must have been receiving similar messages because she suddenly said, "People are taking that photograph out of context." Then give them the context. Don't play games with me. I'm not. You know perfectly well your grandmother helped sometimes. Then tell everyone how often. Silence. I didn't post another document. I didn't explain the ledger. Grandma had given me the underlying records when she asked me to organize them, but I wasn't going to expose everything myself. Mom had publicly accused me. She could publicly correct herself. Instead, she hung up. 30 seconds later, a private message from her appeared. "You have no idea what you just started." Then something changed in the family group. Her original Mother's Day message disappeared. A moment later, another vanished. Then another. I stared at the screen as my mother began deleting her own accusations. And finally, the asterisk $412,000 bill itself. Deleting the bill only made everyone more suspicious. Within seconds, Uncle Raymond posted a screenshot. "Why are you deleting this, Diane?" Then another relative reposted the original spreadsheet. Someone else uploaded a screenshot of Mom's message calling me a disappointment. Mom replied immediately. "Because Tatiana is twisting a private family matter." I stayed silent. Then Grandma Evelyn entered the group. She had been quiet through everything, until now. Her message was only one sentence. Asterisk, Diane, why are you charging Tatiana for money that came from me? The chat exploded. What money? Evelyn, what do you mean? Did you pay these expenses? Mom responded quickly. Mom helped occasionally. Every grandmother helps. That doesn't erase everything I sacrificed. Grandma didn't argue about the entire $412,000. She picked one number. "You listed Tatiana's college tuition as $68,400. I paid that directly from the education account I established for her." For several seconds, nobody responded. Then Aunt Melissa wrote, "Wait, didn't Evelyn pay for Tatiana's braces too?" My uncle followed. "That medical charge looks familiar. Wasn't part of that reimbursed by insurance?" Another cousin added, "I remember Diane telling everyone Tatiana had scholarships in college." The conversation changed instantly. Nobody was asking whether I owed Mom $412,000 anymore. They were asking how much of that $412,000 she had actually paid. Mom tried to regain control. "Interesting how everyone suddenly forgets that Tatiana has contributed nothing to this family as an adult." That sentence made me sit upright. Nothing. I walked into my office and opened my banking archive. 6 years of statements. 6 years of transfers I had never mentioned because Mom had specifically asked me not to embarrass her when she needed help. Mortgage shortfalls, property taxes, insurance emergencies, car repairs. I began downloading the statements into a separate folder. Then my phone rang. "Grandma." "Tatiana," she said, "don't post anything yet." My hand stopped over the keyboard. Grandma, do you still have the records I gave you 3 years ago? I looked toward the old folder lying beside my computer. Yes. There was a brief pause. Then Grandma said quietly, Good, because your mother has forgotten whose money she has been living on. By Sunday evening, my kitchen table looked like an audit room. Mom's $412,000 bill was open on my laptop. Grandma's records were spread beside it, and I went through the charges line by line. The pattern became impossible to ignore. Mom had listed expenses Grandma had paid directly. She had counted reimbursed medical costs at their original amounts. She had turned ordinary childhood expenses, food, electricity, housing, into debts I supposedly owed her. Even some college costs were included despite scholarships and money I earned working part-time. Then I opened my own bank records. That was when the numbers became uglier. A transfer for Mom's mortgage shortage. Another for property taxes. Emergency plumbing. Car repairs. Insurance. Credit card payments she had promised were just until next month. I totaled them once. Then again. More than **90, $6,000 over 6 years **. I stared at the number. The woman who had announced to 52 relatives that raising me had produced nothing, but disappointment had quietly accepted nearly 6 figures from me as an adult. I called Grandma. I've finished matching everything. Send it to me. Are you sure? Yes. I forwarded the complete documentation privately. I didn't put Mom's financial problems into the family chat. Public humiliation had been her choice. I wasn't going to make it mine. Grandma spent the evening checking my records against her own bank statements. Meanwhile, the family group started falling apart. One aunt wrote, I won't participate in humiliating Tatiana. Then she left. An uncle followed. Others didn't announce anything. They simply blocked Mom. By Monday morning, I started counting. 10, 27, 43. Eventually, **51 of the 52 relatives had blocked her. Only one person remained. Grandma Evelyn. I stared at her name, confused. After everything Grandma had uncovered, I assumed she simply couldn't bring herself to block her own daughter. Then Grandma called. Tatiana, I need you at my attorney's office this afternoon. For what? Bring the records. Her tone made me stop asking questions. I gathered the folder, slid Mom's $412,000 invoice inside, and headed toward the door. My phone rang before I could leave. Mom. I answered. She was screaming before I said hello. Tell Grandma to stop, right now. Grandma Evelyn was already sitting beside her attorney when I arrived. On the conference table were 3 things: her blue household ledger, my 6 years of bank records, and Mom's printed $412,000, cost of raising a failure, bill ***. Grandma tapped the invoice. I checked everything. She turned several pages toward me. When your mother was struggling financially while raising you, I helped her. Tuition, school expenses, medical bills, those were gifts from me. They were never loans to you. She pointed to reimbursement records, bearing Mom's signature. Some expenses had been paid directly by Grandma. Others had been reimbursed. Several were simply normal costs of raising a child. Yet Mom had combined them into one enormous number and presented it as money I owed her. That was why the photograph mattered. It showed Mom sitting beside Grandma's blue ledger while signing the very reimbursement paperwork that proved she knew where much of the money had actually come from. Then Grandma placed my bank statements beside it. And since becoming an adult, you've given your mother more than $96,000. I nodded. She asked me not to tell anyone. Grandma leaned back. So she knew the daughter she called a failure was helping keep her financially stable. The conference room door opened. Mom walked in furious. "What exactly are you doing?" Grandma didn't raise her voice. She slid the $412,000 bill across the table. "Was humiliating your daughter worth this?" Mom looked at me. "This is because of you." "No," Grandma said. "This is because of what you did." Mom pulled out a chair. That invoice was supposed to teach Tatiana gratitude. For years, a sentence like that would have made me defend myself, explain myself, maybe even apologize just to end the confrontation. This time, I looked directly at her. "You didn't send it to teach me anything. You sent it to make 52 people ashamed of me." Mom opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Grandma folded her hands. "You've probably noticed I didn't block you." Mom's expression shifted slightly, as though she had finally found something to hold on to. Grandma continued. "Blocking you would only end a conversation. I needed to end something more important." Her attorney placed a set of documents on the table. Mom stared at them. Grandma had already instructed him to remove Mom as executor of her estate. And that wasn't all. Mom's administrative authority over the family trust was being revoked too. Going forward, financial decisions would be handled through an independent trustee. Mom's face changed. "Mother, you can't seriously." "I can, and I have." Suddenly, I understood why Mom had called me screaming. The 51st relatives had taken away her audience. Grandma was taking away her authority. "And Tatiana," Grandma said, turning toward me, "you owe your mother nothing." Mom looked at me again. I took a breath. "There's something else you should know." Her shoulders stiffened. "The money I've been sending you stops now. You know I have expenses." "I know. I've been paying some of them for 6 years." "So you're abandoning your mother over one mistake?" I shook my head. "I'm refusing to finance someone who publicly calls me a disappointment." I didn't demand my $96,000 back. I didn't need another bill. I simply stopped paying. Over the next few months, several relatives contacted me privately and apologized for believing Mom before asking questions. I accepted the apologies that felt sincere and kept my distance from the rest. Grandma and I stopped keeping secrets designed to protect Mom's image. Mom, meanwhile, had to manage her own bills without my transfers and face relatives who no longer automatically accepted her version of events. And something changed in me too. For most of my life, I had measured peace by whether Mom was pleased with me. I stopped. I kept one thing from that Mother's Day, the original $412,000 invoice. Not because I intended to pay it. I kept it to remember the morning my mother tried to turn my childhood into a debt and accidentally made everyone examine who had actually been carrying whom. My mother sent 52 people a bill proving what she thought I cost her. I sent one photograph proving what the truth cost her instead.